Welcome back to Morning Break. It is our pleasure to now welcome Susan Liebman to our show for another Reading Reno segment. Thank you so much for being here and being willing to share your family story with us. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It's a thrill to be on the show and to get to promote my book.
Absolutely. This is a new book. You just recently published it a couple of months ago, and the catalyst for the book actually stems in tragedy. So if you wouldn't mind, will you share the story of your niece, Karen?
Karen, I don't know if you can see her picture on the cover of the book.
Yeah.
Was,
Yeah, there we go. Oh, there she is right there.
She's 6 months pregnant here. She was 36 years old, newly married, on top of the world because she was able to get pregnant and she wanted a baby. And she was a teacher. She was healthy, she thought. Doctors told her everything was good. She went out to dinner with her husband, and actually it was a snack. And at the end of the snack, they gave her a card to fill out, and she said, "This is a 10," and she slumped over. And her husband said, "Karen, Karen, what's with you?" And he already knew she was dead.
Oh my gosh.
And the paramedics were there within minutes. It was downtown Brooklyn. They were unable to restart her heart. They did an emergency cesarean section, but the baby was dead.
Oh my gosh.
And the autopsy showed it wasn't murder, it wasn't drugs, it wasn't anything. They sent her heart away, and 2 weeks later it came back and they said she had dilated cardiomyopathy.
Wow, and she was only 36.
She was 36, and I knew dilated cardiomyopathy because my sister, her mother, had been diagnosed with it in her 50s, maybe 10 years earlier, and doctors told her it was because of a virus. My sister's, there was no family history. They ignored my father's sudden heart attack at 66. They ignored my grandmother's sudden death at 66, at 59. They ignored my uncle's sudden death due to the falling of a mirror, and said that no history, it must be due to a virus. Well, I'm a geneticist. I figured this out, mother, daughter, and my daughter was 3 months pregnant, so I was terrified, and we set out to find the gene.
Okay, and then you did. What was the gene called?
The gene is called filament C. It's a muscle component of the heart, and I helped find the gene by finding a genetic cardiologist in Chicago. I found her through my connections being a geneticist, and the first sequencing the first human genome cost $1 billion. Wow. But by the time she sent my sister's DNA out for testing, and there weren't very many genes known at the time, and she didn't have any of those mutations in any of those genes. So eventually she said, the price has gone down now. It's only $50,000. This was, 15, 16 years ago, and now it's only 500 or less.
Wow.
But then it was 50,000, and she said, I have a grant. I can sequence a few of my patients, and I'm going to sequence your sister's.
Okay.
And she, when you sequence it, there's lots of changes. She had to use her smarts to figure out which one was likely due to the heart, causing the heart disease.
So
and
you
she figured it out.
basically tracked your family's history and found that gene within several members of your family, and then once you find the gene, then what? Is it curable? Is it something that you can be aware of, hey, I have this gene, and then you just live in fear that you could collapse?
No, so we actually have now 81 genes that are called actionable in the human genome. And because of my family and the work of this doctor, our gene is one of those.
Wow.
And these are genes that if you get sequenced and you find you have one of them, there's something you can do. Okay. And what you can do is get your heart screened periodically, and if there are symptoms, you can treat them with pills, with ACE inhibitors, beta blockers, and if there's an arrhythmia, you can have a defibrillator implanted, and this can save your life.
Wow.
Or greatly improve it. One thing I want to point out is just because you have the mutation doesn't mean you're ever going to get sick. It's a warning. Just like high blood pressure doesn't mean you're going to die of high blood pressure, but you wouldn't ignore it.
Yeah.
You would take medicine to reduce it.
Okay.
And so we shouldn't live in fear of getting tested. It's going to ruin our life. genetic testing can save and improve your life or your beautiful daughter's life.
Yeah, I think that is so important, and the fact that you wrote this book and you share your entire family's journey through genes, which is just such a fascinating concept. And then at the very end, you have this call to action, and it is simply to, like, you know, that idea that maybe knowledge is power, and you can do something to change your life or your family's life. It's huge.
Yes. And we want physicians to understand this as well, because it takes them a long time to figure this out. We also want to change some of the laws. Right now, if you get genetic testing and you have a dangerous mutation, your health insurance can't be canceled. It cannot be canceled unless you work for a tiny company. I want that changed. And your life insurance can be affected if you then go out to buy life insurance. So they tell people to get life insurance ahead of time. But we should change this.
Yeah, these are all things that like will really improve people's way of life, and it's all thanks to your family. And I'm so sorry for what happened to your niece, because I can't even imagine the shock and the horror of something so tragic like that. But the fact that you are using that as the catalyst to move forward and bring something positive and something hopefully very good to change the world, I think that's beautiful. So Susan, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. And thank you guys for watching. We'll be right back.